ideal scope mounting system from Spuhr right now on Pirate Firearms and Reloading. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So if you've seen a previous video, I covered off on this MDT Timber Frontier sort of chassis slash laminate stock. I've now got to put a scope on this thing, and I've done a previous video on the Spuhr one-piece ideal scope mounting system, but today we're going to go over the two-piece. So I'm not going to bore you with all the product details and that again. You saw that all last time. So we're just going to go ahead and get this thing mounted up. So just like Spuhr is known for, they have 45-degree offset rings in terms of the ring base and the ring cap. They have two different styles of ring cap available. One has an extra set of mounts at the top and on the side, and the other one's a little more plain. So you've got the options as to whether to set those up. Today, for reference, I've got the SR4000. So this is actually 34mm rings. So I'll show you the scope I'm going to mount in a second. But yeah, she's one of the big boys, so bigger rings required. I could have done this in a one piece as well, but I wanted to give the rings a go. That's the way I've pretty much always done things. I've never been a big one piece mount guy. And I figured I was going to put the MDT 20 MOA rail on it. So I didn't need inbuilt cant, so put the rings on instead. So the rings are available, of course, all in your different heights. So I've chosen the appropriate height for my objective barrel to clear the barrel with no issues. So let's go ahead and get this sorted. Now, just a note, I covered it in the last video too. All Spuhr fasteners that are supplied do come pre-waxed. So they're lubricated in order to apply the correct torque spec. I have gone ahead and de-waxed them because I have chosen to use Loctite, and Spuhr's more than happy with that. So for the ring bases, 243 blue Loctite, which is super nut lock. You don't need anything more than this. And I'm just going to go ahead and lubricate the bolts. So you'll also want to take note too, one set of rings does not have the bubble level on it. That is obviously intended for the front. And then the other one does have the white background bubble level, which I love. Unfortunately, I have worked out that with the size of the ocular on this particular scope I'm mounting and the height that I'm mounting it at, it's not actually going to be visible without taking your face off the cheek riser. So I will be putting that external bubble on that I talked about, the Spuhr mount one the other day, which just brings it up into my line of sight rather than hiding it down the other side essentially. Right, and I've already set up my eye relief and everything and marked everything out with a mechanical pencil before I started filming, just to speed up the entire process. So I'm just going to go finger tight here. The cool thing about Spuhr mounts is they use one size screw bit. Two different size screws obviously for your rings to rails, and then your ring caps, they're different size screws, but they all use a T20 Torx. Well done Spuhr, that makes a huge difference, not swapping screwdrivers back and forward. I do enjoy that. So as per usual, just bringing it as far forward as it will sit. These rings have a built-in recoil lug. Right, just finger tight them. Now on the one-piece mount, you'll notice that it had a one solid side plate, and then each of the screws were actually numbered as to which order to torque them up in. Obviously, because these are rings, these don't matter as much. So we're going to go 45 inch-pounds as per their recommendation, and we're just going to work our way through tightening these guys up. there are our scope rings mounted to the rail. Now we're going to put the scope in. So the scope that I've chosen today is the Vortex Strike Eagle. It's the newer one, the 3-18, with the cap windage turret and the locking elevation turret. I've chosen this because I quite like a 3-18 is quite nice on a 308. It's not, you know, ridiculously over magnified, but it's pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of our blue Loctite. We are going to get rid of that 45-pound inch-pound limiter. I am going to just pop a screw in here just so the scope doesn't decide to vacate the premises. And as you'll see, the little lines here are not from over clamping, they are from a mechanical pencil. Like I said, degreased the fasteners out of the box, and so for the ring caps, Loctite 222, the purple one, which is super screw lock. Okay folks, so that went way faster for you than it did for me. So now we're going to get to my favorite part of the Spuhr ideal scope mounting system, is this little ramp and wedge. So the ramp has a recoil lug designed to slide onto the Picatinny rail, and I'll show you here on this factory Tikka CTR rail. So it literally sits in there. It pushes up to the side. You do this under the turret section of your scope. You use the flat side of the wedge, if this is going to focus. Maybe not. There's a flat side to this wedge and like a sharper side, if you like. And you place that in there and you slide it across until you're getting your scope level. So this is a super simple way of doing it, without playing around with levels and plumb bobs and all the extra stuff that we've always done in the past. So I'm going to slide that guy in there. I'm going to slip the wedge into place like so. I'm just going to sort of rock that scope and just make sure it's nice and level. Now what I'm going to do is just very gently. Okay, so I've evened up the ring caps, and I'm just going to gently you don't want to clamp down while the wedge is forced in place, because you could actually damage the bottom of the scope body. So I'm making sure that I've got it correct forward and aft, and I'm just going to sneak around here, and I'm literally just doing them until they come and I feel resistance. I wouldn't even call this finger tight at this stage. Okay, so normally with this ideal scope mounting system, you would use a 25 inch-pound limiter. Now, Spuhr do note on their packet and in their instruction manual, you torque it to your scope manufacturer's recommendation. So in this case, this Vortex Strike Eagle came wrapped with this lovely little bit of cardboard, informing you that you should not exceed 18 inch-pounds. I don't have an 18 inch-pound limiter, I've got a 15 inch-pound limiter. So we're going to go with that. So I'm going to put this guy on, and I'm going to remove the wedge in order to not damage the scope body in any way. Inch-pound limiter, and apply the final torque. one more final check, and that's absolutely perfect. Pop that guy out. So now the scope is perfectly mounted. I'm going to go ahead and take my favorite silver paint marker and mark out all these screws. It's a force of habit. It's a little way to satisfy my OCD, and then I can visually check and see if any of these screws are backing out. So something I didn't cover that I sometimes do, depending on how much recoil a rifle has, things like that, is I will actually put Loctite under the ring caps as well. Spuhr is quite happy for you to do that. There's actually grooves in there, so you can use rosin and other things as well. I've always used Loctite. It's an old Dare Colors trick from back in the day here in New Zealand, where we couldn't get high quality equipment like this. They'd get whatever rings that they could basically pick up, and the guys would just slather the whole thing at Loctite, put it all together, wipe all the excess off. And that was one way to ensure that their scopes didn't get knocked out of place. I'm not going to be bashing around with this rifle. This is very much a target shooting rifle, but it's nice to know that nothing's going to back off or move out of place. The other thing I didn't really cover, but when you have, it doesn't really matter whether you have individual rings or a one-piece mount, you want to try and make sure the rings are clamping in the center of the body. So basically, the clamping surfaces between here and here, you want to try and have each ring in the center. Same here, from the turret housing to the start of the objective bell, you want to try and get those clamped in the middle, and that ensures you're not actually doing any damage to any of the internal components of the scope. If you come too close to the adjustment turrets, you can potentially lock up the adjustment. If you come too far rearward, you can actually lock up your magnification ring. So it's really not worth doing that. Later on, when I get some time behind this particular scope, I'll come back and do another review. Same, I'll do a final review on the Timber Frontier as well when I get some more time and some shots downrange. So that's it for today, folks. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments down below. If you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. Most of you aren't. Subscribing and liking this video really helps with the YouTube algorithm and helps this channel grow. It'd be much appreciated. Catch you in the next one.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss out on anything. And if you found this video helpful, please share it with your friends. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments below. Catch you next time.